Hey everybody, the Super Vader 400 back for another review. And this time, this is my review of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, Phase 1 and 2, and my thoughts on Phase 3. Alright, before I start, I am a huge fan of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and I greatly, every day, appreciate what they have done for not only for superhero comic book movies, for reigniting interest in that genre, and starting the superhero renaissance, but also what they have done for movies because of these films, the wonders of what you can do, and inspiring other studios to create cinematic universes of their own, and just setting the bar for how great films can be now is all, in my opinion, all thanks to films like this universe right here. All right. With that being said, let's start off with the very first film, and that is Iron Man. Iron Man back in 2008 was awesome, and I like and appreciate this film even more than I did back in 2008. I appreciate it now more than I did back when I saw it in 2008, not knowing that this film was the start of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. All the awesome stuff we've seen over the past couple of years all started with this film right here. Robert Downey Jr. was awesome as Tony Stark slash Iron Man. Iron Man, and this film was awesome. This film was awesome. It was probably, in my opinion, probably the best of the Iron Man trilogy. This film was spot on with the comics, only differentiating from the comics in a couple of areas, such as the omitting of Hawkeye's origin, which took place in an Iron Man comic, and of course the way um Obadiah Stane, the Ironmonger, was destroyed and defeated in this film. Was defeated in this film. I'll detail that more in a long, in-depth review of Iron Man. But this film was, like I said, spot on with the comics, costume design, um, effects, visual, action when there was action, everything. Like I said, just an awesome film to start the Marvel Cinematic Universe. In my opinion, the best of the Iron Man trilogy. Next is the Incredible Hulk. This Incredible Hulk, I like this Incredible Hulk more than the previous Hulk. However, I think the previous Hulk was better. The previous Hulk had, in my opinion, better CGI, a better Hulk, a more powerful Hulk, and a much better cast and a much better screenplay. However, this Incredible Hulk, I like this Hulk first of all because it's in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and this Hulk had way more kick-ass action. And finally, this Hulk brought both the guy who would become the leader in this film, and of course M.L. Blonsky, the Abomination. The Abomination, man. The Abomination. This film right here, like I said, was awesome. The only thing I didn't like the lead. I didn't like the lead portraying Bruce Banner, Bruce Banner slash the Incredible Hulk. I also didn't like the design of the Hulk. Yeah, it looked like the original comics in the cartoon, but I like the realistic look of the first Hulk better. And I'm glad they brought that back in the future in the Avengers, when they brought the Incredible Hulk back in the 2012 Avengers film, which I'm going to get to in a minute. Then of course, next was Iron Man 2. Iron Man 2, in my opinion, wasn't as good as Iron Man 1, but this right here was an awesome film. I loved Iron Man. I love the inclusion of War Machine, who, because he was portrayed by a different actor, Don Cheadle, I often forget that War Machine was in the first. War Machine was in the first Rhodes. He was in the first film, but I often forget that because it was portrayed by a different hour. Terrence Howard portrayed him in the first film, but I often forget that he was in the I often forget that he was in the first film because of the different actors. But Don Cheadle is awesome as War Machine. Is awesome as War Machine, and he was awesome in this film. And seeing him and Tony Stark team up together, um, Sam Rockwell was awesome as Hammer, and of course Mickey Rourke portrayed an awesome villain in um Crimson Crimson Dynamo. I keep forgetting the name of his character, but I know he was based on that character I just named. Only thing I hate about this film is that this film focused more on setting up the Avengers movie than focusing more on Iron Man 2. But and Samuel L. Jackson portrayed Samuel L. Jackson in this film, and um Scarlett Johansson, Black Widow, was wasn't that good in this film. She became a much better character in future MCU installments, but she wasn't that good. But this was their introduction. Um, the next film was Thor 2011, and this film right here was awesome. Action, CGI. I love the comic book world of Asgard. Then you have the realistic world of Thor. I love how they modernized Thor, and I love just the emotional, sympathetic story between Thor and his brother Loki, and Thor's journey to become a hero. Man, like I said, awesome awesome film. And this film, while not being spot on with the comics, this film captured the spirit of the comics, and had several scenes from the comics. This comics had to omit a lot of stuff and kind of rush the story due to several problems with the for pacing issues. But like I said, awesome film, man. Awesome film. It was way better. It was even better than what I thought it was going to be. Completely exceeded my expectations. The next MCU film that year was Captain America. Now, my opinion, while not as good as Thor, awesome start to an awesome franchise, Captain America. Captain America. I thought this film was gonna suck. I gave Chris Evans no chances. The much older, wiser, tougher, rugged, disciplined Captain America. I thought Chris Evans was awesome as Human Torch, and he was only good at playing roles like that. Boy did Chris Evans surprise the hell out of me. It's probably like the best character in MCU. I think his film is like the highest grossing one besides the Avengers, Captain America. His film alone. So like I said, Captain America. Hugo Weaving was awesome as Red Skull. So disappointed that he didn't reprise the role in any future MCU installments. Hugo Weaving said he wouldn't be returning as Red Skull, but awesome film for the most part, with the exception of Bucky's role in the story. Spot on with the comic books, man. Spot on the comics, an awesome start to a franchise. And then of course 2013 we got no 2012. Before that, 2012, finally, finally, the Avengers. The Avengers. We saw Captain America. We saw Iron Man, Hulk, Captain America, Captain America, and Thor. We saw all of these characters. Thor, Black Widow, and finally Hawkeye be all introduced in their own or other characters films, and finally they come together for one film. First off, I like this film for following the comics, capturing the spirit of the comics. The Avengers came together because of something Loki did, and they even stayed true to other stuff like Hawkeye being a bad guy in his first comic book appearance, then going straight ever since. It was different from the comics for pacing issues, but they stayed true to that. The action, the visuals, and just seeing all these characters come together for one film, and like I said, awesome film. Then I like how this film improved on criticisms from previous problems and criticisms from previous MCU installments, such as Scarlett Johansson, Black Widow, being a much better character in this film, and Samuel L. Jackson being closer to Nick Fury's personality in this film. And then I like how Thor, they made use it. They got something, a modernized version resembling his comic book cartoon comic book look. Loki had the helmet from the cartoons and comics, and of course the reveal, the post credit scene which showed Thanos, which showed Thanos. So like I said, the Avengers 2012, awesome film, man. This film was even better than I thought it was going to be back when I saw it in 2012. Then of course 2013, the next film would be Iron Man 3, which I didn't like this film. This is actually my least favorite of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It was enjoyable, but I hated how there was too much Tony Stark and not enough Iron Man. I was especially look at you see the poster of the Iron Man 3 in that badass new costume. I was hoping to see more action with that costume and a badass fight between Mandarin. Mandarin, who is one of Iron Man's better villains, because most of Iron Man's villains, most of Tony Stark's Iron Man villains are rival businessmen and people in their own robotic suits. Only characters like Crimson Dynamo, the Living Laser, and finally Mandarin were like any different, any different from his usual villains. Cool superpower villains. You have Mandarin, who is like Skeletor from the Masters of the Universe franchise, and an Asian version of that character. Instead of having instead of having that badass, first off we have Ben Kingsley as Mandarin, who I thought was terrible. Who I thought was terrible as Mandarin. This guy looked like a cosplayer and something out of Lord of the Rings, not not a badass Mandarin. Then the reveal at the end that it's that Price guy from the beginning, that the Mandarin reveal that everyone hated. So yeah, I didn't like this film. I didn't like this film. There wasn't enough Iron Man or War Machine. There was more Rhodes and Tony Stark than there was Iron Man. I hear it was some kind of contract dispute, but it did develop and continue with Iron Man. So like I said, good film, but I didn't like it. My least favorite of the MCU. Next was Thor 2: Dark World. Awesome film, probably even better than the first one. I like the first one more because I like that story more. But this right here was an awesome story. Malekith was an awesome villain. It was cool to see the guy from the guy from what was his name? Christopher Elskillian, the guy from G.I. Joe: Rise of Cobra, Destro, return as the villain here, Malekith. Malekith, he was a pretty good villain. Unlike everyone else, I'm not too angry with them killing off Malekith because he's dead in the comic book, so I don't expect to see him involved that much with the Marvel Cinematic Universe. But this was an awesome film. I enjoyed the Thor and Loki team up and the humorous and awesome chemistry between Tom Hiddleston and Chris Hemsworth as Thor. Jane Foster, Natalie Portman back as Jane Foster, the woman portraying Darcy back. This film was this film was very funny. A little bit too much humor, because that kind of ruins the film. It's supposed to be an epic fantasy film, and you have all this like stupid humor, but like I said, awesome film. More, and I love how they gave fans even more what they want. More time in Asgard, more time in. They gave fans what they want. More time in Asgard, and even more action, even more action. So like I said, awesome. Then I love the post credit scene, which reveals that Loki was still alive, and this leads directly into Thor Ragnarok. The third Thor film coming next year. Coming next year. So yeah. Then of course you got next is the next was, oh yeah, 2014, Captain America: The Winter Soldier, probably the best Marvel Cinematic Universe movie, widely considered the best film. Um, this film was even better than I expected to be. I just wanted to see an awesome action oriented Captain America film. Since we already got the origin, I want to see more Captain America. I actually want to see Captain America and the Red Skull fighting each other in this film. And still, we got this cool, complex Hydra government plot plot. I like how this unlike the previous Avengers film, this plot was more grounded in reality. And I love how they took stuff from the comic books. The Bucky becoming the Winter Soldier, they did that in the 2000s. They did that in 2000s. They had Bucky die and him be resurrected as the Winter Soldier in the 2000s. I like I said, I like how it was for the most part spot on with the comic books, and just an awesome film. Just an awesome film. Everything that was good about the first Captain America, they made it even better in this film. In this film, I love the pairings of Captain America, Black Widow, and finally Falcon debuted in this film. The only thing I didn't like about this film was Falcon's costume, man. That looked like something out of G.I. Joe. And I'm glad they improved it in future Marvel Cinematic Universe installments. Then next you had Guardians of the Galaxy. Now, while this film is not the creative masterpiece I thought it was back in 2014, this is still another good installment of the MCU and a pretty awesome superhero film. I love how James Gunn and Kevin Feige, Marvel Studios, were able to take a team of B-list superheroes and become one of the highest grossing films of 2014. I thought they were going to get shell shocked by the Ninja Turtles movie because more people, Ninja Turtles was underground. More people were more familiar with Ninja Turtles than they were the Guardians of the Galaxy. But like I said, this was an awesome film. This is far from being the best MCU film. I love this film for its visuals, small but colorful cast of characters, cast and humor. The action sequences really weren't that good in comparison to other MCU films, but lots of action and awesome costume design and awesome story and this film. Yeah, the only thing I didn't like about this film. Oh yeah, and it's also awesome soundtrack. Only things I didn't like about this film was them wasting Ronan and Korra the Pursuer. Now, Korra the Pursuer is dead in the comic books, so I can see why they killed him off at the end of the film. But in the comic books, he's a threat. He's a threat to the Avengers and has appeared quite often during the comics before finally being killed by the Ultron character. So I would love to see him more involved in this Marvel Cinematic Universe, and then getting Damajime, getting acting great like him to portray him and just wasting him like that. Yeah, that's disappointing. Then wasting Ronan, who is a heroic character, slowly becoming a heroic character now, and was a big time character in the books, and here they just made him a terroristic villain and completely wasted him. But Lee Pace was awesome as Ronan. Ronan, probably one of my all-time favorite MCU bad guys, number one favorite MCU bad guys. Then of course, so like I said, awesome installment, not the masterpiece I thought it was back in 2014, which I'm going to detail in a longer, in-depth review of this film. The next film was in 2015, Avengers Age of Ultron. This film was bigger and even badder than the previous Avengers film. And I thought this film was going to suck, man. I thought this film was going to suck because in a universe where you have Thanos, Ronan, Korra, um, Loki, Incredible Hulk and Thor. I didn't see how a robot was going to be a threat to the Avengers. Maybe Black Widow, Hawkeye, Captain America, and probably Iron Man, but I didn't see how it would be a threat to all those superpower villains I just named. And they actually came up with a good story, and I just thought Ultron was just going to be a big dumb robot for the Avengers to fight. No, they managed to make Ultron. Jackson Spader managed to make Ultron a sympathetic, awesome character. He owned the role, and I was actually saddened they killed him off too fast. I hope something of Ultron survives so he can return in a future installment. Because like I said, he was awesome in this film. He was awesome in this film. Um, like I said, this film was bigger, badder than the first one. While one thing I liked and didn't like, I didn't like how Black Widow, they were teasing a romance between Black Widow and Hawkeye, and then they just drop that and go with little explanation, go to a romance with her and the Incredible Hulk. That's something I didn't like. That's something I expect from Dragon Ball Z, not the Awesome Avengers, but the chemistry between Black Widow and Hulk was interesting, so I at least applaud Marvel Studios for making it interesting. Then I like how spot on with the comics it is. A lot of people think this is based on the Age of Ultron comics. It's not. It's based on the Ultron and Vision's origins. This is actually spot on for the most part with the comics. Even the mutants, Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch being part of being being villains and part of the Avengers, being part of the Avengers, and I love this film's ballsy move of killing off Quicksilver, who I'm sad because he was so awesome that he has more roles. He has the actor portraying Quicksilver has more a contract to reprise the role of Quicksilver in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but I'm saddened there will be no more Quicksilver appearances, so he'll probably be appearing in flashbacks and dream hallucinations or in any prequel film when he was alive, anything that takes place before Avengers Age of Ultron. But yeah, like I said, awesome film. Also disappointed that they had to cut out Loki scene, and I remember Abomination being advertised to appear in this film, but I guess they cut his stuff out. I also love the debut of the human form of Yasila's Claws appearing in this film, setting up the Black Panther movie, and then of course the ending credits had Thanos said, "Fine, I'll do it myself." Thanos, the character, the Thanos, the character in the movie you wanted to see. So and then I like how this film led directly into Captain America: Civil War. Now the next film I'm gonna talk about is Ant-Man 2015. Ant-Man 2015. This film was awesome. The director, they managed to take a film about a guy who shrinks to the size of an ant and make it a cool, complex science fiction comedy film. This was a cool, old school, campy comic book movie in comparison to the other Marvel Cinematic Universe films. And they managed to make a guy, the main antagonist of the film, the Yellow Jacket. They managed to make a guy like him intimidating. This guy should have played Lex Luthor in Batman v Superman. He was more Lex Luthor than the Luthor in Batman v Superman. And like I said, this right here was just an awesome film, story, characters, comedy, humor, action, and everything. Like I said, just an awesome, underrated superhero flick. My opinion, one of the better installments of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. The only thing I hated was they killed off the villain. I would have loved to see the villain. I would love to see the villain in future MCU installments, inspiring a rivalry between Scott Lang and the Yellow Jacket. So yeah. Then I love the inclusion of Hawkeye, not Hawkeye, but Falcon in this Falcon in this film. So yeah, awesome movie. And then of course well, that was it for 2015, and finally 2016, Captain America: Civil War, probably the best, the number one best of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. This film right here, all of those comic book characters coming together in one film in one Civil War. I like how this film was even more grounded in reality. And like that, one thing I loved about films like this and Batman v Superman, they both of these films showcase that just because we have superheroes, the world is not a better place. Actually, these universes are worser places with superheroes. You got all the problems we face in real life. Then you got all this superhero stuff going on. And I like how this film was much darker this film was much darker and real bigger stakes, real bigger stuff at stakes in this film. This film was this film right here proved all those Marvel Cinematic Universe haters and biased DC fans wrong, that Marvel can get dark with Vision paralyzing War Machine paralyzing Rhodes War Machine, while still maintaining some of the lighthearted humor of this film. Humor of this film is successfully introducing us to Black Panther. Black Panther. Like I said, this film was awesome. The ultimate comic book film, man. Story, action, everything. Film totally lived up to expectations, exceeded my expectations. I didn't want to see a Civil War film. I didn't care much for the comic book. I didn't want to see a film where Iron Man Captain America are fighting each other with Spider-Man in the middle. Oh yes, and the debut of Tom Holland's Spider-Man. Spider-Man was awesome, man. And can't wait for the upcoming Spider-Man film next year. So yeah, an awesome film, another awesome film. And next will be phase next will be Doctor Strange coming November, which Doctor Strange looks awesome. Already spot on with the comics. Let's just see how the film translates. The only thing I don't like about this film is whitewashing. Characters who should be Asian are white in this film. But other than that, this film is looking good. Now the next now next is we're gonna talk about Marvel Phase 3, which started with Captain America Civil War. And I mentioned Doctor Strange. Next year will be Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Haven't looked much on Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, but I already heard they will explore more on who's Quill's father is, who I have an idea who it is, but I'm keeping my opinions to myself because I want to be surprised and wow. And I think Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 will be even better than the first Guardians of the Galaxy film. Looking forward to that. Spider-Man Homecoming. This is a new reimagining of the Spider-Man franchise while still staying true to who the Spider-Man character is. Can't wait. Zaya Zadoma has a role in this film, and I heard Michael Keaton will be the Green Goblin in this film, which I'm mixed about that. Then Thor Ragnarok, which features Thor and the Incredible Hulk and Loki in one film. Then, of course, I wonder where Thor Ragnarok was going to be like after seeing the post-credit scene of the ending of Thor Dark World. Then, of course, Black Panther. Then, of course, Black Panther. Then, of course, Avengers Infinity War, which I've been waiting for a long time. Then, of course, Ant-Man and the Wasp character. Then next, Captain Marvel and an untitled Avengers sequel. Disappointed that the Inhumans movie got pushed back, but they are set to appear in Marvel Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. So like I said, Marvel Cinematic Universe is doing great. The only thing I'm worried about is when phase 3 of the Marvel Cinematic Universe is over, when the contracts of the Avengers characters are up, I wonder where they're gonna go after that because they killed off a lot of important characters that will lead to the downfall of the Marvel Cinematic. That, in my opinion, may lead to the downfall of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. But Marvel Cinematic Universe, they've proved me wrong before. All right, dug out. I'm done.